Welcome to the Heart-Led Business Show, where compassion meets commerce and leaders lead with love. Join your host, Tom Jacobs, as he delves into the insightful conversations with visionary business leaders who defy the status quo, putting humanity first and profit second. From heartfelt strategies to inspiring stories, this podcast is your compass in the world of conscious capitalism. So buckle up and let your heart guide your business journey.
Well, hello again, happy hearts. Get ready for a web of wisdom with our wonderful wizard of the World Wide Web. Hold on to your headsets because we're dialing into the dynamic domain of the Duchess herself, Shannon Mattern. She's the muse of marketing, the sage of sales, and the clairvoyant of client management. And on today's Heart-Led Business Show, we're diving deep into her experience of running her own Heart-Led business. So Shannon, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you. I think that might be the best intro I have ever heard. That's amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. That's my goal of the show, is just to have great intros and then let the cards fall where they may.
Oh, you nailed it for sure.
We set it up with a high bar and we're just going to go higher.
Amazing.
Well, Shannon, I'm so excited to have you on the show. And, we've chatted before and I love your story. I love the work that you're doing. And I can't wait to really dive into that. But first, the first question is always, what's your definition of a heart-led business?
I love this question. I was thinking about this before we started. And I think really my definition is creating win-win-wins. When we are able to run our business in such a way that we love what we do, we love how we're doing it, we love the clients we're working with, we're making the money that we need to make to have the time, the resources, the capacity to serve them at a high level and help them win and help them create what they really want. And then, together we can create more than what either of us could create on our own. I mean, that's the pinnacle, right? That's what I think is the definition of a heart-led business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the last piece that you're talking about, the win-win-win, kind of reminds me of a quote that I've heard from, I believe it was Zig Ziglar, that the more you do for, I'm going to completely slaughter this quote, of course, but the more you can do for others, the more will come back to you, which I think is such a great way of approaching business. And it's unfortunate that not a lot of businesses kind of approach it that way. But of course, here at the Heart-Led Business Show, we want to change that and highlight businesses that actually do make a difference in other people's lives, as well as the owner's life as well. So tell us a little bit about your business and what inspired you to start a Heart-Led business.
Yeah, so my company is called the Web Designer Academy, and we help women web designers package, price, sell profitable web design projects. We help them stop undercharging, stop overdelivering, and really create the business, create a heart-led business, basically. I don't say it that way, but that's really what we help them do. And my journey started over 10 years ago. Now I was climbing the corporate ladder, as we do. And, as we're taught to do in the US, as here's the blueprint for a successful, no one ever says happy, but successful life, right? Is you follow this path and, you climb the corporate ladder and you get all the benefits and whatever. And I just found myself very, very unfulfilled. And I had a moment where I was like, this can't be it. This can't be what the rest of my life is going to look like. I was 35 years old at the time. I'm like, really? Another 30 years of this and then I retire? That's not okay. And so for me, my journey started with, I need to fix this for me. And once I unbrainwashed myself, I guess, through reading books, listening to podcasts similar to this, just showing myself that there is another way. And I started a business on the side of my day job. And I built that up to the point where 3 years later, I was ready to leave my high-paying, good benefit corporate job and take the leap into solopreneurship. I was just like, I have to tell as many other people as I possibly can about this life because it is so much more rich and rewarding and freeing, and I just have so much more impact doing this than I ever did. So that's really what drove me. My business specifically was freelance web design. That's what I started doing on the side. I started teaching web design to my target audience back then was, oh, if you're building a business on the side because you want to quit your day job, I'll show you how to build your website and I'll show you how to like do all of the technical things. And then I was also doing freelance web design for clients as well. And then that kind of evolved into other web designers saying, how are you doing this? How are you getting clients? How are you able to quit your day job? And just kind of following the thread of what I love to do and what I'm really good at and what's really fun and what doesn't feel like work was coaching other web designers to the things in their business and in their mindset and in the way they think about money and the value to really be able to create that win-win-win that I talked about earlier.
Yeah. What a great story. And it really is basically the same story that I hear over and over again from guests on the show is I was in a job, corporate or another job that didn't give me joy. I had desires to do something else. I took the leap of faith and I did that something else. And now I'm really happy. So
Yeah.
I love that. And I also hear from a lot of people that it's scary making that transition from a high paying corporate job into the unknown, or what oftentimes we think is the unknown. Tell me about that experience for you and how long it took you from side hustle to full-time hustle.
Yeah. My experience was that I was very scared to make the move. And it was 3 years of me side hustling. And it was started off doing freelance web design, so undercharging, over delivering, cannot figure out how to make enough money to replace my 6 figures that I'm making. Let me try to scale. Let me try to like make money teaching many people how to do it so that I'm not doing it. That also, while it was fun and fulfilling, was not going to get me close to where I needed to go as fast as I wanted it to. The amount of effort I needed to put in upfront to grow it as big as I would have needed to, replace my paycheck and business expenses and that was going to be a longer lead time than I was really interested in. So I really had to work on charging enough for my one-on-one services I'm like, oh, if I'm actually like charging, 5,000 felt astronomical to me at the time for like a highly functional website.
Right.
It's so
It
funny to
converts
think
me.
back. If I just even charged that, I could make this happen faster, whatever. So it was 3 years from inception to leaving my day job. And I actually gave a 7-month notice to my boss. I had like been promoted up into an executive role at the time. And
Okay, that's fair.
I was like, we were in a budgeting meeting for the following fiscal year, and all these projects were being planned that I was going to be spearheading. And I was like, well, it's now or never to tell them that I'm not going to be here to run these projects. So I kind of want to say something now. And so I did, and I finished out my 7 months. And I never thought for 1 second about taking it back and saying, no, I'm not going. And that just kind of gave me that like runway to really be like, okay, this is happening. I have my safety net for a while. This is happening. I'm super excited for it. And also I was like, I have some goals. I want to be able to like hit that number 2 or 3 times that replaces my day job income before I fully cut the cord and go on my own. And what I realized is like, I should always bet on me. Like I am
Yes.
my best bet. How much more can I create when I'm not dividing my time between giving them 40, 50 hours, 60 hours a week that I could put back into my own thing for sure.
So once you left and you had that 50, 60 hours to put into you, what did the business do at that point? Curious.
Ooh, I went into hustle, fear, overdrive mode. So it maintained its revenue, and I probably doubled my efforts. And I can look back at the time and be like, oh, that's what you were doing. I was so scared still because I hadn't really realized that I would be okay no matter what. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to learn every marketing sales strategy from everyone out there teaching. I'm going to sign up for all the courses. I'm going to do everything everybody says times 10. I expected everything to work right away, like that launch mentality, right? Like if I do this and I follow this process and I spend all this time in a vacuum by myself building this thing and then I launch it out into the world, it's going to, overnight, it's going to work. And so I did all of that. Thank goodness that the foundation I had laid that was not so hustly and overworky and stressful was like paying the bills while I was off doing who knows what, trying to create a security for myself. I already had it, but yeah, no, I kind of went off the rails for about 6 months to a year in terms of my hustle because I was terrified. And looking back, I'm like, I didn't need to do any of that. Like all of the things that I had put in place were working. I was making the money I needed to make. And I did end up burning myself out. And that's when I had to take a look and be like, we have to fundamentally change our expectations of like what success means and also timelines for things to happen. Like I was expecting instant results from my efforts and not being patient and planting seeds and waiting for them to come to fruition. So it was an interesting year that I'm like, oh, okay, so I went through that and now I know how to help other people when they're in it or before they get into it. That it's a risk of, you never know what that feels like when you leave your job until you do it. And then you're like, okay, now I go into overwork when I'm scared. And that's my default. So, but yeah.
Well, I like
And
what you
also
said too about
had a lot of fun, at the same time. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, but yeah.
I like what you said about setting expectations as well and realistic timelines. Because I think a lot of people see Instagram and all the crap that's out there in terms of, burn the boats, go all into your side hustle, just, do it right now. And I think that's terrible advice. Number one, I think it's very irresponsible because it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And nobody knows like what you did to build up to that point where you were in quote overnight success. And I think it's important. And when you're coaching other women entrepreneurs that are web designers, do they come to you before they quit their day job or like where do they typically come into your world?
Both, really. Like some of them are side hustling. The majority of them have been doing like running their web design business for like at least a year. And they come to us because they're like doing what I was doing, like burning the candle at both ends and just trying to do everything and understanding that like this is actually harder. I'm working harder than I did at my day job and I have less freedom than I did at my day job. And I've I've put my clients and I've kind of turned my clients into my bosses. Like I didn't shed the employee mindset. So they leave their day job and then they recreate it times 10 with how they structure things and how they think of their clients. And that's really when they come to us. And also while they're still working their day job to figure out like, because they're still doing that and they're like, how do I manage this when I have like a real boss? And it's like, you have to fundamentally shift how you think about all of this.
Yeah. And is that one of the first things that you work with people on is just mindset of a business owner?
I call it like a benevolent bait and switch, right? Because I'm like, I'm going to teach you all of the systems and processes for running your web design business, how to package, price, market, and sell. That stuff, yeah, there's a few strategies we teach that maybe are a little unconventional. But the biggest thing that needs to change is your belief about what you're allowed to have, how you're allowed to run your business. So it's mindset all of the way. And that's why I call it like a benevolent bait and switch, because I'm going to get you on like systems, processes, and whatever. But in order for you to actually implement those, you have to notice how you're thinking now and change it.
Yeah. And would you say that most of the clients that you work with are heart-led entrepreneurs, and that's why
Oh, for
they
sure.
come to you? Yeah, cool. And so what's the biggest issue that you're finding with your clientele that are trading the side hustle for a full-time hustle, getting rid of the day job and all that?
They don't think they can charge quote unquote that much.
Okay.
Whatever that number
Why
is,
is that?
because they have
Yeah.
been conditioned that someone else deems what they're worth when they set a salary and pay
Right.
them at their corporate job. Like the
Yep.
market says that this is what you're worth based on how employers hire and decide to pay. And so they take that someone else gets to decide what I'm worth mentality into their business. And so all I call it like employee mindset and expense mindset, right? It's like they see like someone else gets to determine all of this for me, and also like this my clients, they think that their clients don't have the resources, and that like, oh, if I charge money for this, I'm taking something from them. They have less, I have more. It doesn't make them feel good. And so
Mm,
they're trying to figure out what like feels like what feels right without ripping people off and taking advantage of them and being greedy and all this stuff. And I'm like, I have to help you just play on a completely different playing field. That's like a one way of thinking. It's not the way the world works.
that's interesting too. And I have to admit, I probably had that mindset as well in terms of the market says this is what you should charge for your services. Like when I had my fitness business, this is what personal trainers charge. So you need to charge the same thing. And until I got the coaching and shifted the mindset into, yeah, that's might be what everybody else is charging, but why does it have to be what I charge? And is that the best for the client as well? And the way I was charging was 10 sessions at a time, and you get the 11th for free. Which is ridiculous because you can't make any change in only 10 sessions. And I'm sure it's the same in many other different businesses that you're not doing the client a favor if you're undercharging either.
Yeah, and we talked about this when you were on my podcast. It's like if you're trying to sell a website and you're trying to sell, I'm going to build you a website with 5 pages and this automation and this thing, then so is everybody else. And now you're competing on price, and the lowest price wins usually. But
Yep.
if I'm learning, what are your goals? What do you really want? What can you create as a result of me building you what you need to create the outcomes that you really ultimately want? And if that's what I'm selling, and that's how I'm interacting with you during the sales process, and ultimately I'm like, here's what's possible for you. Here's what I'm going to create in order for you to get there, and here's how it all is going to work, and here's what that looks like to work together. That's a whole different conversation than here's a 5-page website logo branding and an email integration.
And then you
I
could do
think about,
yourself on Wix or whatever.
yeah, exactly. And
That's
you don't
crazy.
know what you don't know, and I do as the designer. I know all the mistakes you're going to make and all the things that you're not going to think about when you go to build it yourself. And I'm going to ask you really important questions that help you actually use this tool that I'm going to build for you. And so when I think about selling that, and I'm selling it at a price that's sustainable for me to offer, meaning I don't have to overwork. I don't have to work with 10 other clients at the same time. I can give you more attention. I can invest in better tools and education and things to level up my knowledge because I'm charging appropriately. I'm able to like deliver you a super high level service, and you are making a decision through how you decide to spend your money about what you're committed to and what you really want for yourself and how much you value yourself. And so that's kind of where it's like, it is for us to undercharge does our clients a disservice, because we're basically saying to them, like, I don't think you're capable of making this important to you. I don't think you're capable of like the resources and the commitment to the table for you to go get what you want. I need to save you and treat you like you're helpless and lower my price to help you because you're not powerful enough to make this happen on your own. And like that's not a win-win-win. That's like,
No.
oh, I need money. I'm going to lower my price down so that I can make sure I get enough money for you to cover my needs. And I don't think that's not win-win-win.
Yeah, well, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is if you're not, this is worth repeating what you said, when you charge appropriately, you're able to up-level yourself and serve your clients better through the education and learning that you do to better at your craft. And I don't think I've heard anybody say that quite that way before. And it's totally makes sense because the better you are, one, the quicker you'll be at it, the better results the client's going to get, and you're going to have better freedom, and it's just better all around. And we were talking last week on your show too about the time element, and that a lot of the folks that you work with and a lot of folks that I work with as well don't charge enough per hour because it's so easy for them to do what they do in that hour time. So how do you address that with your clients and get them to change that mindset as well?
Oh yeah, like untying time for money is a huge thing that we do, and there's a couple parts to it. One, it's like it's so easy for you because of all the time you've put into making it easy. So don't discount that. You've put a lot of time, energy, and effort into making it easy. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not massively valuable, to your client. So I'm just thinking about a scenario like if I'm about to do a sales promotion and my website is not working and it takes you 10 minutes to go in there and figure it out because you know exactly where to look and how to diagnose that and how to fix it, and we're like back up and running. That's so valuable to me as a business owner to have you in my back pocket and pay you to know my stuff inside and out enough that you can just come in and fix those things for me. And so it's like the value of what you do. Stop thinking about how your employer set it up for you or how we were taught. Like, oh, guess what? This is what I am going to pay you by the hour. It's about what your clients are able to create as a result of working with you, as a result of like committing to their business at the level that they need to like make their business run easier. So I always think think about the long-term value and the results for your clients, not about, oh, this took me 5 minutes. Well, it took you like 5 years to learn how to get it to take 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. There's the old story. I don't know if it's true or not, but a ship, is at dock and the engine isn't working, and big ships at dock, they don't move. They're getting charged tens of thousands of dollars an hour just to lay there at dock. And so they called the maintenance guy up. Guy comes up, looks at the engine, takes his hammer out, taps on one piece, and then the engine works. Sends a bill to the captain. It's $25,000. Captain's like, $25,000? All you did was just tap your hammer. So yeah, but it took me 10 years to find out where to tap that hammer.
Yeah.
And I think that mimics exactly like everything that we were just talking about. And it's the same in your business, same in my business. It's all that time and effort that you learn your craft that has so much value. And if you're not charging appropriately for it, then you're doing everybody a disservice.
Yeah. And like on the flip side, you think about like, oh, like the client just like how the opportunity cost of not working with that person, right? The person who can fast track things for you, who can save you hours of time. Like think about what you can do with all of the time that you get back when you have experts in your back pocket and when you're working with people who can see things that you can't see. Like you don't know what you don't know, so you don't even know what to look for. Like how would you even know that the hammer's the right tool and that you have to bang it somewhere? Like sometimes you just don't know that. And so, from the client's perspective, being open to like, I'm hiring people not to just do what I know I know I need them to do, be open to like, there might be so many things that I don't know that like working with the right person could fast track me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great lesson. And I see that over and over again in business as well. It's when you hire the right people, whether it's a contractor or an employee, and they just do the right stuff and they just make everything easier and they bring their own knowledge and effort into the equation, it just makes everything so much better. And I think that's definitely leading from the heart. So that's amazing. So Shannon, how can people learn more about what you do and the academy that you host?
Yeah, you can just go to webdesigneracademy.com. Everything that we do is over there. If you click on the podcast link, you'll find our Profitable Web Designer podcast, which you were a guest on, and we had a really great conversation about sales. So that's the best place to connect with me and find all the other ways to connect with me.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll put that into the show notes so that it makes it very easy for people to find as well. And Shannon, this was just a great conversation. You're just so easy to talk to, and I enjoyed being on your show, and I'm glad that you were on our show as well. And so thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your knowledge with everybody here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And to our show listeners and those watching today on YouTube, we really do appreciate it. So make sure you're checking out everything that Shannon's doing. We're going to put, again, all those links down in the show notes. And also, if you could do me a very solid favor and do what other smart and considerate listeners are doing, and that is give us a rating and a review so that we get the message out that you can have a heart-led business and make a profit. So until next time, lead with your heart.
You've been listening to the Heart-Led Business Show, hosted by Tom Jacobs. Join us next time for another inspiring journey into the heart of business.